Welcome back to AutoKnerd. My name is Andrew Sardone, and today we're going to be talking about the third wheel. That person that tags along that for some reason feels like speaking up right at the end to like derail everything. You see them out of the corner of your eye. It's like the friend or family member that's just kind of there. And why? You have no idea. This person hasn't said a darn word, but for some reason, all of a sudden, they're right there, ready to say the wrong thing at completely the wrong time. So, we're going to talk about the third wheel and how to actually make them stop derailing our deals and turn them into secret closers and get them on our side pretty quickly. But first, stat bomb. 61% of buyers say friends and family were their biggest influence when buying a car, and this makes complete sense. People buy cars around their lifestyle, so friends and family are going to influence it. But occasionally one of those people get in the car and come to the dealership as well. Let's dive in. So on a very cold day in Wisconsin when I was selling, they all of a sudden this car rolls up, which wasn't necessarily a common thing when it's really cold outside. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Wisconsin in the winter in some areas can be like -60 wind chill. And you still go into work and somehow for some reason somebody still comes in and wants to buy a car. It's awesome when this happens. It's like perfect. Now, this particular person came in looking for a brand new sport compact. He sits down in front of me with his buddy, and I say hello to both of them. We all have a lot of laughs, and then we go out and we start playing with the vehicle, pull the car around for them, and buyer's looking at everything, going through all the stuff in the car. It's all there. The vehicle was absolutely perfect, actually. And the messed up part about this is that the only part that wasn't perfect was this other dude. And that other dude, for some reason, did not want this guy buying a car. And I get it. Protectionist friend. You want to make sure that your buddy doesn't get hosed. And that just makes perfect sense. I go along with friends when they ask as well. And I point out that, hey, dude, this really isn't a great place. Or I recognize that tactic. And a lot of times I have some fun and call the sales consultant out and even the manager if the manager comes over. Either way, my happiness aside, these two people are sitting there in front of me. The numbers come out. Now, the vehicle, I should go ahead and preface, this was a new vehicle he was buying. My used car manager was working the deal. Love this guy. And as he's writing me the numbers, he goes, hey, who's the other guy that's with him? I'm like, I'm not entirely sure who he is personally, but why? He goes, I recognize him. Has he come in here? No, he's never come in here, but I do recognize him. Maybe my wife works with him. So I bring the numbers out, set them down, and it was a lease payment, and it was actually very good, the deal that he was getting. And all of a sudden, here comes a third wheel. Third wheel doesn't say a word. He pulls a pad of paper out of his pocket, the pen, and he starts writing. And as he starts writing, I'm noticing that he's actually calculating a lease payment. Now, I cannot figure out to this day how this guy knew all the residuals and all the other figures that go along with factoring a lease. Somehow, his number was exactly the same as to the one the used car manager made. I want to put it up to luck, but it was way too coincidental. Thing is that individual then went ahead and started adjusting the numbers on the back end and saying, well, if this was this and this was this and this was this. And all of a sudden, I looked at him and was like, dude, this is amazing. How did you do this? Talk to me. And as he's talking to me, trust is building very quickly because I'm letting him brag. And as he's bragging and as he's talking, I hear my used car manager looking over at me and whispering across the showroom floor like, Andy. And he's waving his hands. And I'm like, what the heck, man? I'm like, I'll be there when I get there. And so I'm talking to the customers just going on and on and on about this magic that he just did on this piece of paper. And I still, again, can't figure out what the heck he did. So I get up and I go on over and I talk to my used car manager and I'm like, dude, they're going to take the deal. Don't worry about it. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, yes, it's an accountant that works with my wife in the car section. And I was like, so he probably had most of the figures. And so as I walk back out and I sit down with him, I'm just talking to him. I was like, yeah, my used car manager knows it. Rapport instantly built. Trust flying through the roof. And I look at him and I said, hey, so what do you think? Our numbers are the same. Should your buddy get it? Should he not? Are you going to stand in the way of your buddy's happiness? And that little emotional heartstring there, that little plucking of, do you want to really stand in your buddy's way? You know he's getting a good deal deep down. I know he's getting a deal because I just watched the numbers. You get penciled. All of a sudden, that guy turned into the closer right then and there. looked at his friend and said, dude, you should buy it. It's a great deal. It's awesome. On the back end, we did make a little bit of coin, and that person went ahead, turned into the closer. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to start off with a whole ton of data, because data is what's going to drive this thing, because this is actually kind of a hard topic. When I was researching this, it was very much one of those, nobody really knows too much about this. So I really had to go way, way down the rabbit hole. First stat here, 52% of shoppers rely on personal recommendations. And why wouldn't you? You talk to your friends, family, you want to see what they're into, what they're driving, and what they like. And this is exactly why people look up reviews on things like Facebook and Google. And 83% trust word of mouth from family and friends, which means that we're going to have family and friends coming in as that third wheel, which we see consistently. But with that being said, over 70% of these customers are doing research on their phone, and 50% of them consult friends and family member on mobile. Which means that if they're not there, that third wheel could actually be on the phone, which gets substantially trickier. We're not going to talk about that one today. We're going to get the immediate one that is easily controllable directly in front of you. But the thing is that third wheel is not a distraction. Actually, they're part of the game. They're one of those individuals that if we can make them love us, because they are the defense, then all of a sudden that customer is going to have far more faith in our capability, and they're going to trust what we're telling them is the truth. But these stats really do shine some light on some things. As I said, 52% of shoppers rely on other people's input in one way or another. So that being the case, need to respect what that individual is saying. But with the word of mouth part is that if the closer that person gets, the higher the trust gets. So friend, family member, best friend, spouse, whatever it might be, that person's status in that individual's life starts to raise that up, which means that it's wise enough to inquire a little bit about the individual's relationship. And obviously, don't get too terribly personal here. But if they're also researching on their phone, that means that they might still be doing research while they're sitting in front of you, which means that we should probably ask them if we can assist them in their research any further. Not ripping the phone away from them, but giving them a bit of a notice that we are here to help. We are here to be your partner. We are here to be your friend in this thing. So why does the third wheel matter so much? There's a lot of reasons. Let's take normative influence. That's the term for wanting to simply just fit in. Think about Solomon H's famous conformity experiment. People literally gave the wrong answer to an obvious question just so they didn't need to stand out. When somebody has their friend or spouse there in the showroom, the same force is at work. Buyers don't want to look foolish in front of people that they care about, so keep that in mind. And then you have informational influence. This kicks in when the decision feels complicated or uncertain. And car shoppers know that this whole process is full of specs and features and financing and interest rates. So what do people do? This particular individual likes to lean on the person next to them, even if that person isn't really an expert. Here's an example I used to see a lot. The car guy of the family coming on in and taking a seat. And once they realized I was a car guy, the lot of the we're going to attack the sales car consultant just would go away. This is when we got to become that third wheel's buddy. And with that buddy may come social impact theory. This says the strength of the relationship multiplies exponentially depending upon how many trusted individuals are in the room. A translation of this essentially means that if the person has a strong spouse that they very much trust, a friend that is like their lifetime ride or die, this can strongly outweigh even 500 five-star online reviews from multiple sources. They care if this person says that you're terrible or the dealership's bad or the deal's bad. So again, we got to buddy up with this person. The data backs all of this up, and more than half of buyers say personal recommendations from friends or family shaped their purchasing decision. And over 80% of these consumers trusted word of mouth over advertising. That's not just noise. That's the gravity of which we play under day in and day out when somebody comes in with their third wheel friend. Whether it's that person that it just has so much influence over that individual's life, whether they're just simply wanting to fit in, or whether it's somebody that trusts the individual next to them so much that simply saying 2 words can tank your deal. These are the people we got to build trust with. To help us build trust with these individuals more quickly, I developed a tool. Yes, every week with these from here on out, I'm going to develop a tool to help us up our game. Now, the download on this one, it gives us some pretty cool stuff. Just click the link, go to the webpage, links in the show notes. I make it really easy for us to get the tools to help us improve, because as we improve the customer experience, the customers pay us more money. We sell at higher volume. This is just what naturally happens. Time for us to up our game. Click that link, download it, but let me tell you what's going on with this. This cue card that we use is again called the third wheel cue card. This is a way of us monitoring how we behave to bring that customer on into the fold. Because let's be honest, none of us are perfect. We can always tweak ourselves a little bit to become better, or tweak ourselves a lot. So with the cue card, there are 3 strong scripts, 1 very poor script, and you'll see pretty quickly the direction that it's going. Now, I use the scripts as guidelines. If you want to use them verbatim, go for it. But I use them as guidelines. I'm not a huge fan of saying scripts because I don't like sounding like a robot. So practice them, write down your own. We also have some quick tips, a checklist for you. And then also we have a reflection cue card that gives you the chance to sit down and go, hey, how is this person, the influencer, which is what we call a third wheel, changing the outcome in one way or another? And how did you handle it? Now, if you're coming in on that beta, the beta test right now is going on. The link is in the chat. The beta test is making all of these tools. This is just a tool for this week. This thing's gigantic. So with all of these tools, if you are on the beta test, I'm sending out the manager level 1 so you can see how that is and hopefully provide me with a little feedback so I can make these things just awesome for you going forward. But we have 2 other levels, the pro and the elite manager. The pro level, which is for those of you that want to dig even deeper, again, get that beta test. Links in the chat. This one will give you all the rubrics. This one will give you the examples of the skeptical parent, how to handle them, the expert buddy that comes on in that just knows everything all the time, and the quiet spouse. Now, the rubric in this gives us the ability to monitor our interactions when it comes to things like personalization, inclusion, and respect, allowing us to build trust faster and even close these things smoother. So if the free tool on the webpage is not enough for you, just scroll on the webpage a little bit more, click on the beta test. And if you want to go all in, there's the Elite Manager Packet. The Elite Manager Packet right now is on the 8-week beta. So if you're looking at the free tool, going, okay, this is cool. I see where Andy's going here, but you want to be able to teach it well to your staff. Or if you want to be that sales consultant that's like, hey, dude, I know it all. I'm going to teach this thing on every Saturday morning meeting. There are a couple things that I'll do. In the Elite Manager Packet, if you sign up for the beta test, you'll also get a complete assessment for the sales consultants. I will straight up give you how to teach them how to do this. It's a turnkey solution. This gives you word for word. Say this. As managers, some of us just aren't teachers. It's not what we do. We got into selling cars for a reason. We loved it. Teaching, not so much. So with this, I give you everything you need to do to train your staff. Say this here, do this here. Here's how you run the activity, A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. Even how to grade them, and everybody gets an assessment so you can fill this thing out and your sales consultants know exactly what to work on, make a photocopy, and you can see if they're improving day over day. I'm pretty happy with this one. Threw on in there a manager meeting guide for Saturday. You can run it as a micro activity. This gives them something to work on Saturday. So they have all next week to improve on this one thing. And then next week you'll get another tool from me. And then you have another cool thing to work on just to bring your team along and bump them up in the area of customer experience. Now, back to the stats. This is pretty cool. Car gurus took a look at the third wheel. When it comes to things like reliability, budget, these things top the list. But one of the things that even drove them nuts was, what about everybody else? Well, opinions from family members still swayed people 5 to 10% in one direction or the other. So if they liked it, obviously 5-10 that way. And if they didn't, 5-10 that way. That's pretty big, meaning that even the stats, the truth that is sitting directly in front of you, reliability stats, how much the car costs, would it be in your budget, all that stuff, how many airbags it has, can still be swayed by the people that are next to you. Now, 49% of consumers make monthly purchases due to these particular influences. That's from Sprout Spatial, meaning that if something comes up, and all of a sudden they go ahead and they buy because somebody recommended something, This may be that individual that recommended it sitting right there, but yet I'm going to protect you around the salesperson. Well, we can set that to rest by simply getting to know who they are. The third wheel isn't just in showrooms anymore. They're also in the customer's pocket. They're the person that the person is texting. They're the person that they're screenshotting the contract to. They're the person that they're verifying all the details with. In this particular situation, you really need that customer to trust you. You don't need them to just trust you. You need them to flat out love you, where the person on the other line that they're texting really doesn't matter quite that much anymore because they know that you are their safety net. You have their best interests in mind. This is actually a little piece that I pulled out of my little workbook from way back in the day. I had to write it on down because when I said it, it clicked. And there were a lot of these it clicks on my road to starting AutoKnerd and a podcast that's meant on empathy driven sales. But this was one that slid out and I smiled a little. And these two individuals are sitting down. I recognize the third wheel immediately. They came off just all grumpy. Why am I here? The tough guy approach. And so these two individuals are there. First question out of my mouth. What's most important to the both of you? And acting like the therapist, the counselor, but opening the whole table up to everybody. All of a sudden, the person starts to speak, the buyer starts to speak, and the other person just starts talking right over them, giving me every single little nuance and detail that I needed to sell the car. Now, when this happens and you have somebody that's aggravated, just start writing things down. They tell you exactly what you need to do. They may be screaming at you, never scream back. It's pointless. You got them where you need them. Just write down exactly what they need. I'm not saying tick customers off. That's a bad idea. That it doesn't bode well on your surveys. But what is most important to the both of you? This person starts telling me exactly what's up. Wrote all that stuff down. And I said, all right, cool. So you don't want me to do this stuff. And this is a kind of where we need to be when it comes to this and other individuals' payment. Yeah. Do you agree? Yeah. Okay, cool. I think I can work with this. And from that point on, started the needs assessment, but include both of them. So if one does seem a little standoffish, hey, why are you here? What are you doing? Bring them into the fold, because once they know that you're not dangerous, all of a sudden, a lot of those negative pieces, that armor that they're holding around their friend, starts to fall away. Now, the next question here, it sounds like you've done your research together. Walk me through your top priorities, both of you. And as you start to go through that, it then opens the story up a bit more. And you can dig on in and you'll start to have your spidey senses go off of, I think this person's here because of X, Y, Z. Maybe it's just pure moral support. But give them a few minutes to just vent a little bit, talk, and this gives you some time to learn about them and have conversations about them. Remember, 85% of conversation has to be about the person that's sitting in front of you, only 15% about the product. And especially in times like this, when that third wheel is there to guard their friend, guard their kid, guard their spouse. But a few little strategies that help with this. In the tool, I did write on in there an activity. In the beta test, go ahead, just download the beta test. It's a huge thing. And if you are a manager and you're not a teacher, it's awesome. But inside there, we walk through, hey, here's how you acknowledge this. We got to validate it. We have to redirect it to the stated priorities and try it. Just sit down, role play with a couple buddies. You play the third wheel, you play the customer, just don't be jerks about it. And as you're role playing, you'll notice that you'll have the ability to talk to them and then get on the point of laughing. And that should be your goal, is I get to the point we're all having fun. But acknowledge who the person is, validate who they are, validate their opinions, make them feel important, make them feel as though you look up to them in the conversation and get them to talk about themselves. Again, the more you know about both parties, the better that photo can be painted for the customer on the vehicle of why this thing's going to have positive transformational change in their life. And that third wheel might just be the person that will pick up a brush as well and start helping you paint that beautiful mural. So redirect those stated priorities, bring both people on in, and the contrast you're going to notice is pretty cool once that person's on your side, because your relationship with the customer will be fairly mediocre, but once their buddy likes you, all of a sudden the customer really likes you. But in the end, ignoring influencers just means longer negotiations. It means more money out of your pocket. It means that you got this person that felt like jumping out of the closet and now they're practically attacking you. You lose more deals this way by not including that person. When you engage the influencer, you leverage trust, you leverage friendship, you leverage kindness and caring, and you show that to that person that they are important in this situation. Because a lot of the times the person's sitting in the back and they're actually half wondering, why are they here? Or does this person even acknowledge my existence in the first place? So acknowledge their existence. And this particular individual, if they're going to help me close deals, that means that my PVR could be higher, my front end gross profit. This means that I can tee up finance and they can make a little bit more coin as well because we're all in this together. But that individual, leverage them. They're going to be your biggest tool in this situation. Don't fight the third wheel. It's really not worth it. Ride with them, ride along them. They came on in, their defenses are up, and be the pro. You do this every single day. And just think about it. In a 1 year period of time, how many more car deals have you interacted with compared to that customer? So download that tool, get to work, see what I'm talking about. And if you can, bring those stories on over. Type on those Reddit posts, type on those LinkedIn posts, shoot me a message, email me, andrew@autonerd.com. If you want to see something or you got recommendations for future content, just let me know. I'm always taking some. Actually, this whole episode was recommended by my buddy CJ, who's, I know, much further up north than I am. But CJ, how's it going, man? Keep it metal. But in the end, go out there, spread the kindness, spread the caring, and all in all, get to know that third wheel because in the end, they're going to be your biggest ally. I know you can do it. Have a great one. AutoNerd out.